On a call with the Congressional Progressive Caucus, President Biden has said he's working with experts on major Supreme Court reform proposals to be announced soon. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
CBS News has learned that he is working on a series of changes to the Supreme Court, including possibly term limits for the justices. It's designed to motivate and excite his progressive base, who's not happy with their recent decisions and with the behavior of the justices.
A jury finds Democratic Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey guilty of using his political powers to benefit foreign governments and 3 businessmen in exchange for bribes. Senator Menendez responding.
The decision rendered by the jury today would put at risk every member of the United States Senate in terms of what they think a foreign agent would be.
This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility, great pay, and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 8:03, we have clouds and 77 degrees downtown of the Arch. I'm Maria Kina. Our top story this hour, an elderly Alton couple died in today's flash flooding. The Jersey County Sheriff reports it happened between Beltrees and Fessler Roads. The Riverbender says the woman's body was inside a submerged car, but the man's body was not found until about a quarter mile away from Piasaw Creek. A man that reported the incident had to be rescued himself from the top of his vehicle when emergency crews from several agencies responded. Floodwaters closed roads and forced residents to evacuate their homes in Washington County, Illinois, after the Nashville Dam overtopped.
It has caused flooding in a flood path downstream from the dam. There are 299 phones that are in the area that were given the evacuation order. I don't know what the totals are, but as of a little earlier, we did have one person who was unable to get out of their house, and first responders were helping her to get out. That's the only one that I have that was confirmed to be trapped, and I don't know what the current status of this woman is. We do have road outages throughout the county. We have no major road routes that are clear in Washington County right now.
What's the response like? What can the emergency management do? What's your role right now?
Well, like I said, they're establishing exactly the extent of the damage, and we are coordinating with both other emergency agencies within the county. As of right now, we are physically unable to get people through to us because of the lack of road routes at the current time.
That's Stuart McMillan speaking with Alex Hagelin, the Public Information Officer of the Washington County, Illinois Emergency Management Agency. With today's heavy rain, there are growing concerns now among those in North St. Louis County about the flooding. Dawn Chapman of Just Moms, who has been trying to spread the word about radioactive waste that was dumped in parts of the area following World War II, Coldwater Creek, one of those areas, and it's found to be contaminated. Chapman just posted a video from St. Cyn Park in Florissant while she was looking at the creek.
I hope these poor people in these apartments are not flooded out again. Oh my God, you guys. It's just moving so fast.
Efforts have resulted in warning signs finally going up along the creek banks, something the Moms group has been asking for months and months. Well, you might see Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers in images of security at the Republican National Convention. That's because a contingent from Missouri made the trip to help provide security. Patrol Lieutenant Eric Brown tells KMOX the assistance was requested by Milwaukee Police, which is routine.
It is common for surrounding states and states across the country to request help from outside law enforcement agencies, whether those be police departments, sheriff's departments, or state agencies such as ours, for large events such as the RNC.
Brown says he cannot release the exact number of troopers who are on the assignment because of safety concerns. Our forecast: overnight clouds, some spot storms, a low of 72 degrees tomorrow, partly sunny. Again, spot thunderstorms. Nothing like we saw today, though. Afternoon highs 85 degrees. For tomorrow night, it clears out, dropping humidity with a low of 63 degrees. And then for Thursday, sunny and an afternoon high of 80. Right now, it's 76 in St. Peter, 77 in Florissant, and downtown at the Arch, it's 77 degrees. I'm Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Y98 presents the St. Louis City Soccer Report on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Nate Gatter with you for the St. Louis City Soccer Report on this Tuesday evening from 8 to 10 here on KMOX from our downtown studios. James O'Sullivan is behind the board. Jen Cease is somewhere on her way to Seattle. Maybe she's already in Seattle with St. Louis City as they prepare to play tomorrow evening against the Sounders. That'll be a 9:30 Central Time kickoff, 9 o'clock pregame on our sister station, Y98. Jen will have the pregame and postgame for you. She will be with the team in Seattle, along with Joey and Dale, and then with the team as well at the weekend in Kansas City. That'll be on Saturday night. So she is away for this evening, which means all the more reason, all the more time to get your calls in if you want to be part of the conversation after perhaps the worst performance in St. Louis City history, certainly among them, especially at City Park in the 4-1 loss to Vancouver on Saturday. The number to call is 314-637? No. What's the number? James, can you help me out with the number? We need to get you involved here. I need another voice to be on here. James, what's the number?
The number is 436-7900.
436-7900. 314-436-7900, the number to call. James is standing by, and he would love to chat with you. That's the first. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more from James on the show since no Jen in this evening. We're going to be talking to Tom Timmerman coming up in just a few minutes, the St. Louis City beat writer for the Post-Dispatch. We'll also hear from Greg Barkey later on in this first hour. He oversees VAR operations for Major League Soccer. In the second hour, we'll talk to Chad Otek, who is the head coach of the 2008 Girls Academy team from Lou Fuse that just won the national championship at the under-16 level. And that is a big deal for Lou Fuse and local youth soccer. On the girls' side, we'll also hear from Matt Seebeck, Chief Experience Officer at St. Louis City, who talked to Jen. So let's discuss that 4-1 loss for City. It got off to an inauspicious start. Brian White scored in the 9th minute, a bad goal to concede after the terrible giveaway in the midfield by Jabulo Blom, who had just a shocking first 20 minutes to the game. He picked up that yellow card, the 18th minute. It was really, really poor from him in the first quarter or so of the game. He actually recovered well, I thought, in the last 20 minutes or so of that first half and did not play poorly before, unsurprisingly, interim head coach John Hackworth took Blom off at halftime. Knut Thoresen was able to level it in the 27th minute at 1-1, but White added on in the 44th minute to make it 2-1 Vancouver. They got two more, Raposo in the 63rd and Fafa in the second minute of added time. At the end of the second half, 4-1. Whitecaps winners in the end. Both teams had 13 shots, but Vancouver put 9 of their 13 on target. City only 3. Vancouver had the better of the possession. It's funny as well because during our show last week, we talked about how the underlying numbers for City are still not bad, though they're getting worse. And that really you look at their performance inside the penalty areas, both attacking and defending, hasn't been good enough. And certainly there were elements of that. The City finishing was not fantastic, but there weren't a lot of obvious chances that went lacking or went wayward against Vancouver Saturday compared to some other games. There certainly was some poor defending and some just awful schoolboy missed clearances, which were partially unlucky, but also very sloppy in their own penalty area. But the one thing we felt they had been doing well, and we talked about this specifically last Thursday, is handling things in the midfield. I didn't feel like they were getting completely run out of the game in the midfield, and all of a sudden that completely changed on Saturday. Jabulo Blom he's never looked comfortable or calm in possession. He looked overwhelmed. Chris Durkin, I think, brings a lot of quality to the midfield, but obviously there's a little bit of chaos to his game as well, especially on the defensive side. Edouard Leuven looked really frustrated for stretches, even in the first half, that City, he just wasn't getting the runs he expected. He wasn't getting the interplay, the interaction with his teammates that he expected. That's something I feel like has been a theme when City haven't played well in his year and a half on the team, is that you can tell that he's just not getting the level of support that he's looking for, and you can understand why frustration would start to seep in. I don't know that anyone was good in the game. I can't think of somebody I would say played especially well. And in general, City, just the manner of goals they conceded were especially poor. And they deserve to lose. They deserve to lose by a wide margin. And it feels like maybe a new low point of the season, just even though it's one that's had quite a few. And that's corroborated in the standings in that they're now on 22 points from 23 games, and they're second bottom ahead of only San Jose in the Western Conference. San Jose, the only team City have beaten in now some 9 weeks, going back to that May 11th victory over Chicago. They're going to have 7th place Seattle coming up, and then 12th place Sporting Kansas City, which will be an interesting game, interesting environment on Saturday with both teams almost out of the playoff picture, even with the amount of season we still have left. Obviously, if either one were to get hot, they could still play their way back into the conversation, but there's a lot of work for both to do. On the other hand, if there's reason for positivity, it's that in that game on Saturday, the at least one new addition in Cedric Toyert should be expected to see the field, and some other additions as well, and most notably Marcel Hartl waiting in the wings for City. Whether those introductions might happen during Leagues Cup or afterward remains to be seen. We will get that update, among other things, when we talk to St. Louis City beat writer Tom Timmerman coming up next. It's the St. Louis City Soccer Report on KMOX.
Pliers, drillers, testers, threaders, tools, cables, pull it, cutters, snip it, labels, print it, fish tape, routed, tools, voltage tested, friction, lube it, connectors, crimp it, safety, got it, all the vendors, products, pullers, get screwdrivers and more pliers.
All the tools, all in one place. Graybar.
After suffering an injury, you may face many hard questions. What will tomorrow bring? Which firm should I choose to represent me and my family? At Morgan & Morgan, we will hold your hand every step of the way. From our one-click sign-up, mobile apps, and 24/7 availability, we make it easy to get your case started right from the comfort of your couch. All firms are not the same. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
It's the Cardinal Cowboy. If it's time to replace that broken down, rickety old garage door, Renner does that. Looking for top-notch garage door installation and repairs? Renner does that. Smart LiftMaster openers? Renner does that. Serving Greater St. Louis and surrounding areas since 1966. Renner does that. Residential and commercial, you guessed it. Renner does that. RENNER forward and back. RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, the garage door company that does. Giddy up!
The cookie cutter approach works well if you're making cookies, but not so well when you're trying to plan for retirement. If you want a customized income strategy, call Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group today. 636-230-8824. Or go to YourMoneyMattersSTL.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Well, there's a very good chance as you've driven down your street, you have admired houses in your neighborhood that have been covered in Rhino Shield, and you don't even know it. Except if you pay close attention, you'll notice that they're not being repainted every couple of years. What I mean is same bright, vivid colors that you would choose with regular paint, except that Rhino Shield lasts, and you're going to get a 25-year warranty with it. I've got it on my house, and I mean it. It looks like it did the day they put it on. It lasts and lasts. It's lab tested to last that long against chipping or peeling or cracking. And they put this on businesses as well. Condo units from Springfield, Illinois, all the way down to the Lake of the Ozarks. You can find it. And my friend Darren will be happy to come over and give you a free evaluation of your home. All you have to do is call him. Tell him you heard Mark Cox talking about it. 877-25-RHINO or online at 877-25rhino.com.
Today, we're constantly taking photos and videos to remember our favorite moments. But what about those captured before the smartphone? What about the memories tucked away on aging VHS tapes, film reels, or in fading photos?
These cherished memories are fading away with time, vulnerable to threats like heat, moisture, and mold. But fear not, there's a solution to safeguard your legacy. Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Nick. Together, we founded Legacy Box over a decade ago with one mission: to bring your memories into the 21st century.
It's time to bid farewell to old tapes you can't watch and faded photos. Legacy Box transforms them into digital treasures, ready to share with a click.
Just like magic, your shoebox of memories is now safely stored in the cloud or on a thumb drive.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box, so you can rest assured your priceless moments are in good hands.
Don't let your childhood fade away on old tapes. It's time to digitize those priceless moments.
Fast forward into the digital age. Visit legacybox.com/value and unlock 50% off your order. That's legacybox.com/value.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
The St. Louis City Soccer Report continues. We're joined now by Tom Timmerman. Nate Gatterback with you as we continue this evening. Jen Cease is out on the road with St. Louis City in Seattle, where they are getting ready to play tomorrow evening against the Sounders. Tom, thanks so much for being with us again.
Thanks for having me, Nate. Always a pleasure.
There's a lot of pressure on you tonight, too, since this is Dale Schilly's usual spot. So you got to bring the heat.
You didn't have to tell me that, Nate.
I suppose.
Fine, and then
I should have told you at the end after you did so spectacularly well, as you always do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we'll see now. So what actually, I mean, what would you like me to, how can I channel Dale best?
Well, I think to channel Dale best, maybe we should try to start with some positivity, because there's not a lot for St. Louis City at the moment. After that 4-1 loss at home to Vancouver, they sink to 13th in the standings, now behind Sporting Kansas City, though St. Louis do have a game in hand on SKC going into the Wednesday game against Seattle. But for fans who are looking for something to be excited about this week, maybe it's not tomorrow, but coming up at the weekend after the transfer window opens, there will be the possibility of some of the new guys seeing the field. And my understanding is you're expecting to see Cedric Toyert most likely make his City debut on Saturday.
I would think that's the case. I don't know that they need, Jake Goodwood-Reich to hop in there right away. A 19-year-old center back is the immediate answer to what's ailing them right now. But Cedric Toyert is certainly going to be a guy that they're going to want to get out there as quickly as they can. Obviously, this team needs to perk up its offense somehow, and so that's someone they're going to turn to right away, because he's a guy that can score goals. They just need to find a way to do that. But that doesn't happen until Saturday. The transfer window opens officially on Thursday. So for Wednesday, it's going to be the usual cast of characters. And they're going to have to, they've got to up their game because they need to get win. They need to get at least one win out of these two road games, and all the points they can get, the better.
You mentioned Toyert, who should be, we would think, making his debut over the weekend, in part because he's been with the team and training for some time and able to get himself integrated at least for some amount of feature on Saturday, maybe even a start, who knows, but you would think some kind of involvement. What about the other high-profile addition in Marcel Hartel? What can you tell us about the level of how much he's been able to integrate himself, if at all, to this point, and what the realistic timeline is for him being on the field in City Red?
Well, as he hasn't arrived, unless he arrived today, he hasn't arrived. Yeah, they were hoping, they're eagerly anticipating his arrival. I don't think we'd see him until we see him during the League's Cup. I don't think we'll see him in MLS play until after the League's Cup. Obviously, practice today was closed, so I don't know if he was there today. But as of yesterday, it wasn't as though John Hackworth was, saying he's going to be there tomorrow. So we're still waiting on him. But, I don't see any way he could have played tomorrow just because of what the situation is, because he hadn't trained with the team. So, he's going to have to work quick. There's not a lot of practices between now and Saturday anyway. I mean,
right.
They're going to.
No, I mean, it would be shocking if he were to play on Saturday. But you think sometime during the League's Cup probably still realistic?
Yeah, a lot of that depends on how long they go in League's Cup. I mean, if they go 2 and out like they did last year, that would be that might cost him the chance.
Yeah, good point.
So that's they need to advance. League's Cup has actually taken on a lot more importance for City this year, because it'll be training camp for Toyert, it'll be training camp for Hartel. It'll be a chance for JGR, as we're now calling Goodwood-Reich, to get in a game. It'll be a chance for Klaus and Rasmus Alm to get back up to speed. So there's a strong need for that team to do well in League's Cup, as meaningless as it may be otherwise.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, it's sort of the exact opposite situation as last year when clearly the focus was on the league and Leagues Cup was secondary. In 13th place, all of a sudden the chance to compete for any sort of silverware starts to feel all the more meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, if you do the math, I mean, the city's got to really bring its game because they got 11 games left. They need to get last year 44 points, got you into the playoffs. They got 22. So they got to get 22 in the last 11 games. So that's 7 wins. That gets you 21 if you play your cards right and win the right games, and maybe that's enough to get you in. But they got to win 7 of their last 11 to have a reasonable chance. And this is a team that's won 4 games so far. And I mean, they got to win 7 out of 11. 7 of those games are on the road, and this is a team that has 0 wins on the road this season. So they got to do a lot of stuff different very quickly if they're going to put this together. Now, it's not to say they can't, because they're going to be a better team when they get Toyert and Hartle and they get Klaus and Alm back. But, there's not going to be a lot of room for error over the rest of the season.
Yeah, certainly. To put that in perspective, needing 22 points based on last year's precedent over their final 11 games, that'd be obviously 2 points per game. Not a single team in the Western Conference has done that. LAFC in the top spot, just under 2 points per game. Only 2 teams in all of MLS have averaged 2 points per game or better. That's FC Cincinnati and Inter Miami. Let's turn our attention to the outgoings, because John Hackworth was very clear this week about why Sam Adeniran wasn't in training with the team. I guess that was on Monday. That there are conversations with other clubs. He didn't, with another club specifically. He didn't mention specifically who it was. The reports are that it's LASK in Austria. Is it your feeling that Sam Adeniran has appeared for the last time with City?
The way things have gone with Sam this season, I'm hesitant to ever say it's done.
Very good point.
He missed 3 games with an impending, transfer. And it came back. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam is traded within the league. I think that in some ways may be a more logical step for him at this point rather than shipping out. I mean, I think European clubs also might be like, look, the guy's going to out of contract at the end of the year. We can get him for free if we wait. This might be a chance where if you got a team that's looking at it, in fact, the trade deadline here in MLS is looking for a guy that they can bring off the bench to maybe score a goal if they need him to, that's a possibility. So I would not be surprised if Sam, still in Major League Soccer, is just playing in the Eastern Conference come at the end of this week. But I also would not be surprised if he's playing for City SC because he just keeps coming back.
It's a good point. I think it'd be silly to say with any certainty what's going to happen with Sam Adeniran one way or another. Tom Timmerman, the Post-Dispatch beat writer for St. Louis City, is with us. You can follow him on Twitter at TomTim. That's 1 M in Tom, 2 in Tim. Tom, just before we wrap up, your overarching takeaways from Saturday night's loss to Vancouver. I said earlier, if it's not the worst performance City have put in their year-and-a-half history at City Park, it's certainly in the top 2 or 3. What maybe surprised you most or didn't surprise you about how they played?
Well, I mean, what surprised me was that there was every expectation that having just lost to Vancouver on the road 4-3, that this would be improve their game. They would step up. This would be something where you would expect more out of them, and there wasn't. There were a lot of things that we've seen all year round, and where they can't finish, where they mess things up defensively and give up, odd man rushes and have guys open in the box to score goals. It was in some ways the greatest hits, and in some ways that was, it was a good roster they had out there that night. I mean, they had Lubin back, they had Berkey back. They had guys who were, games were, had shown a little bit of progress, but it was just nothing. And you kept thinking that here's a chance, and maybe after Thorison's goal, they had that window of opportunity there, and they couldn't take advantage of it. And Adeniran comes in, plays the last 20 some odd minutes, and he just hasn't scored a goal since March. And there's just a lot of that going around. I mean, and they're just not creating chances or not finishing chances. They have to be close to the league lead in shots blocked I mean, it's how many shots you see that travel about 2 feet before hitting a defender and bouncing away. I mean, it's just, they're doing the things that you would think a desperate team is doing.
Yeah.
We're going to take a shot. Okay, the shot has no chance of going in. But I'm going to take that shot because we're going to hope something happens. And it's not, you learn that in hockey and other sports. If you don't shoot, you're not going to score. But obviously, they have to find those spots better. And yeah, and the level of disappointment that the team had was unmatched in any game in their 2 seasons now. That was the level of disappointment with those guys was greater than it was during the playoff losses last year. That this was a team that really thought it should have done better in that game than it did.
It's a good point you bring up. I feel like there have been times that we've maybe heard Roman Berkey in particular in the past make pointed comments about poor performances, especially this year. But what struck me was it wasn't just Berkey making those comments to you. I think I saw comments from Berkey, from Leuven, from Durkin, maybe from one or two other guys as well. It seemed like across the board, not only did players, of course, agree it was a poor performance, but they were using unusually pointed language in doing so.
It was a thesaurus kind of night, which
Yeah.
is how bad can we describe this game as being. And, certainly, Hackworth sat the team down after the game and said, we got to get better. I mean, they got into the interview room about half an hour after the game had ended. So there was, a good 10, 15 minutes of discussion that went on in the room before we came to see him. And certainly, I think Hackworth conveyed the message, you guys can't feel good about this game in any way because there just wasn't much to feel good about.
Last thing before we let you go, I promise. Since you mentioned John Hackworth, interim head coach of St. Louis City, do you have any feeling, not necessarily, of course, like candidates or anything like that, but do you have any feeling about what City's expectations are for the coaching search and whether it's something they are planning to leave until the offseason, whether it's sort of we'll see how the process unfolds or if there is much of a plan in place in terms of just how they envision the search going?
Yeah, I can't give you much in the way of specifics, but I suspect that at this point they'll let the season play out and see how it goes. And, Hackworth has got to be a leading candidate on it. And especially because, other MLS teams have at times shown interest in him. And if he doesn't get this job, then the next one that comes along, he will probably want to take. So it's, but you can never underestimate the Bundesliga influence in all this. Obviously, that's a big thing for Lutz Pfannenstiel. You see it in the players. That's, the commonality is Germany, if there's a thread, or Northern Europe. So, does that factor in, or is Hackworth's familiarity and his experience, enough for him? And does he need to get in the playoffs, or do they need to see, obviously, progress from this team in the rest of the season for them to turn to Hackworth as the full-time head coach?
Tom, we appreciate you as always. That was a bit of a marathon. My apologies for that, but you did brilliantly as expected, filling in for Mr. Schilly. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Nate. But I don't think I'm not up for that responsibility. That's too much to have.
We promise next time you'll have a slot all to yourself.
All right. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it.
Tom Timmerman of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. You can follow him on Twitter at TomTim, 1M in Tom, 2 in Tim, and you can read his work in the Post-Dispatch covering St. Louis City. We'll take a break. When we come back, a little more discussion of that 4-1 City loss to Vancouver last Saturday, heading into tomorrow evening's matchup on the road against Seattle Sounders. That's a 9:30 Central Time kickoff, 9 o'clock pregame, with City away against Seattle on our sister station, Y98. If you want to share your thoughts on the 4-1 loss to Vancouver, you can do so at the number James so aptly shared with us previously. James, could you give it to us just one more time before we go to break?
314-436-7900.
314-436-7900, the number to call if you want to discuss that 4-1 City defeat on Saturday or anything else, what you'd like to see from the team going forward. What could John Hackworth show you over these final 11 games in Major League Soccer plus the Leagues Cup that would maybe convince you that he's the right guy for City to make as the next full-time or full head coach, if you will? And if not, who else do you have in mind? What else do you have in mind? What would you want to see stylistically, if anything, change about the team? All those things, fair game. Any city topics, whatever's on your mind. 314-436-7900. The St. Louis City Soccer Report continues next on KMOX.
Hi, I'm Amy Mark Scores.
And I'm Chris Ranji. Look, we get it. The world seems insane right now. You're not alone.
Ranj and I are on different sides of the political spectrum, but we don't always talk politics anyway.
Yeah, we talk about what's going on in the world. We'll talk about the Cardinals and sports and TV and movies and whatever.
Life is more than politics. It's family and friends. And Chris and I were friends before this show. We're there for each other. We want to be here for you too.
It's the Chris and Amy Show, weekdays 10 to 1 on KMOX.
Hey contractors, it's Andrea and Scott at Best Buy Flooring.
If you haven't been shopping with us, you owe it to your customers and yourself to check out Best Buy Flooring.
We can meet all flooring needs at the lowest prices in town. Check out our huge selection of carpet tiles, luxury vinyl plank, luxury vinyl tiles, sheet vinyl, ceramic, hardwood, and laminate.
Come see us at our 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Open 7 days a week, including at South County. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
Help if you want to sell your home as is. Help doesn't matter the condition it's in. Help if you want to assemble, sell with no agency fees. Claiming groups got you covered, no contingency. House a mess, roof damage, bad taxes, that's all okay. Make sure you remember to call Claiming Real Estate.
Let us help you. ClaimingGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com.
It's summer, and there are two things that homeowners might have on their mind: moles ruining their lawn and stinging insects ruining their parties. Here's what you need to do. Call Rottler. Rottler offers the most advanced and highly effective mole elimination programs available, and you don't even have to be home for them to do the service. And if bees and wasps are scaring your kids and guests, know that those insects can also cause damage to your home. Rottler's effective treatment keeps bees and wasps at bay. Call 877-ROTTLER or rottler.com.
When it comes to retirement, you don't need to worry or sweat the small stuff if you have Sachs Financial on your side. Sachs Financial, home of the Retirement Compensation Plan. SACHS, Sachs Financial, because income is the outcome that matters. RetireSafeSTL.com.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
It's Tom Ackerman for Innsbruck. Just the beautiful homes at Innsbruck. The new Sonnenhaus houses are available this year. The newest style of living, combining the modern exterior of a treehouse with cozy interior elements of a cottage into one convenient and comfortable residence that can transition from a vacation home to a permanent residence. And it's so close to St. Louis, just a half hour from Chesterfield, an hour from downtown. Innsbruck-resort.com.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. Here we'd have dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7. And we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
For everything St. Louis Cardinals, it's Cardinals Conversations. Use the Odyssey app or hear it on your favorite podcast platform. From game analysis, player and management interviews, it's exclusive Cardinals content from KMOX Sports, where the Redbird talk never stops.
The St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on this Tuesday evening. Nate Gatter with you until 10 o'clock tonight here from our downtown studios on KMOX. Jen Cease is away with St. Louis City before they take on the Seattle Sounders tomorrow night away from home in Washington. That game will kick at 9:30 Central Time, 9 o'clock the pregame with Jen. Dale and Joey will have kickoff for you coming up after 9:30 on our sister station Y98. If you want to hear City Live, the Cardinals Live, if you miss any part of this show and you want to go back and hear any of the recorded interviews or segments, you can get all of that on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY, the totally free Odyssey app. 314-436-7900 is the number if you got thoughts on City's 4-1 loss to the Vancouver Whitecaps at City Park on Saturday. Knut Thoresen had the equalizer in the 27th minute, the only goal for City, who could have easily conceded 5, 6, 7 goals. They did concede 5, but one of them called back by video review. And we will talk to Greg Barkey coming up next, filling in for George Gansner on our Laws of the Game segment. Greg is the overseer of video review for Major League Soccer and has played a huge part in the implementation of VAR in MLS. And I would imagine has advised some folks elsewhere around the world as well. Certainly his reputation precedes him in just about every, certainly soccer officiating room worldwide. And we look forward to hearing from Greg on essentially, and we talked to him before the season on how things might change, how, what was emphasized for VAR this year. And we can go through a little bit of how VAR has done this year, if you will, and what, key metrics he's looking at and how he feels about where video review is right now for the league. Again, you can get your questions in for Greg as well. You can tweet us at KMOX Sports or call in 314-436-7900, and James will be standing by to relay any questions that you have for Greg Barkey. Tom Timmerman mentioned something I think that's interesting during our last segment, and we appreciate him joining us, always illuminating to talk to Tom Timmerman, the City beat writer for the Post-Dispatch, in that it was not a bad lineup City fielded this past Saturday in that 4-1 loss to Vancouver. Sure, is Josh Yarrow a first-choice center back if Nielsen were healthy and Hebert were with the team? Obviously not. Is Reed a first-choice left back? I wouldn't imagine so. Left back, of course, has still been a problematic position for City pretty much continuously since Johnny Nelson had those great first 5 or 6 games last year in year one. Ever since then, left back has been somewhat problematic. Marcanic has solved it at times, but never really solidified it. Reed had some good moments, but I thought there were times Saturday, or has had some good moments, but I thought there were times Saturday that he looked a little bit overwhelmed. But Tim Parker, first choice center back. Totland has been terrific at right back. Blom, Durkin, Leuven, that's something close to the first choice midfield. And Thoresen and Vasilev, well, obviously Thoresen wouldn't be first choice, and he might drift down to third or fourth once Toyert and Hartl are available. Obviously, Klaus, out injured, would be ahead of him in the pecking order as well. But this is not, it's not as though they threw out a pure City 2 type team. And so, to Tom's point, you would have expected, if anything, an improvement on the 4-3 loss to Vancouver a couple of weeks prior, a game in which City led 2-0 before it got away from them, and Vancouver ultimately got back in front. Coming home to City Park on a Saturday night, you would have expected a better performance than that. Just didn't get it. Just did not get it. Yet again, City looked almost incapable of possessing the ball at an MLS level. Blom, really poor giveaway. Johnny Klein had a poor giveaway as well. Ultimately, that goal out that came from the turnover was called back for a handball against Vancouver in the buildup during the takeaway, the turnover from Klein. But just a really poor performance, really disappointing. and one that had a bunch of fans heading to the exits, around the 80th minute or so. Not something that we've seen too often at City Park over the year and a half of City's existence, and it knocks them all the way down to 13th in the league behind Sporting Kansas City, whom they will play in Kansas on Saturday. We'll take another quick break, and Greg Barkey will be with us on the other side. Don't forget, we have Chad Otek and Matt Seebeck coming up in the second hour as well. Also want to talk in the second hour about a story involving Joey Zanaboni, City's play-by-play man, who you hear on Y98, and you hear from plenty often these airwaves as well. And I think he was a little hard done by in the Post-Dispatch a few days ago. We're going to talk about that as well later on in the show. So stay with us. All of that and more still to come. Greg Barkey is next on KMOX.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get this all behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm. The IRS made new changes that make it easier to settle your IRS debt for a reduced amount. Not all our clients qualify, but under the IRS's new Fresh Start program, you may be able to resolve your IRS problems quickly and for less money. But don't wait. An IRS problem is a legal problem. You need someone who understands both the IRS and the law. Don't trust your tax problems to some TV personality. The Drury Law Firm has handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years, and your first visit is completely free and confidential. And I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So if you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120, or go to LanceDruryLaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney. You need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
What do Donna Vogt, Janet Williams, Susan Honor, and Jonathan Erst have in common? They're just some of the best fans in baseball and winners of a pair of tickets to an upcoming game at $100 to Rawlings. Want to get in on the winning? To get entered, head to KMOX.com/contest and upload a photo of you decked out in your game day attire. The best fans in baseball, presented by KMOX and Rawlings, the mark of a pro.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, but they violated that trust. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect, call Onder Law at 844-BEDSOR.
Home values are sky high and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market is peaked, so if you're thinking about selling, it's time, except for two things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high, but you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Smart, right? Truehold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, or secure your retirement. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Hi, this is Johnny Rabbit. Isn't cash in the bank better than scrap in the drawer? Midwest Money Company is buying your valuables. Midwest Money Company is buying gold, silver, coins, currency, diamonds, plus gold and silver jewelry. Call Midwest Money Company, 481-0770. That's 481-0770. Or stop by Midwest Money, 5900 Hampton for a free appraisal.
Stand Up to Cancer is committed to saving lives by accelerating cancer research and reducing barriers to clinical trial participation. To learn more, go to standuptocancer.org/lung cancer.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts this weekend. For 3 days only, this Friday through Sunday. Get 20% off rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale, too. 20% off starts Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com. 3 days only and Sunday.
Whether you're looking to fill low spots in your lawn, backfill that new retaining wall, or mulch your trees and flower beds, St. Louis Composting has the compost, soil, or mulch you need to help your plants and garden look its very best. Visit our website, stlcompost.com, for more information.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Rounding out the first hour on the St. Louis City Soccer Report, Nate Gatter back with you. Jen Cease is in Seattle. I just got a text from her. She is with St. Louis City on the road before City's game tomorrow night against the Sounders. They landed in Seattle. She saw Mount Rainier on the way into the airport, and they are headed to the hotel now. So Jen is in Seattle with the team and not with us this evening, but she is listening in at her opportunities, and she will be back for the KMOX Soccer Showcase coming up next Thursday evening, and we'll talk more about that in the second hour as well and how you can be a part of that. First, Greg Barkey is with us on the line. He has been described as Major League Soccer's video review guru, and I think that's fair for what he's done for video review in MLS and the esteem in which he is held by other officials worldwide. Greg, thanks so much for being with us.
It's good to be here. I guess I've never been introduced as a guru before, but I guess I'll take it.
Hey, I didn't come up with it. I read it on the internet, so it must be true.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where all the truth is.
That's right. So let's start. We had you on previously to sort of talk about some of the key things that were being implemented, the points of emphasis for video review in MLS this year. Now that we're a little ways past the midpoint of the season, how do you feel the league has done and video review has done this year on some of those key metrics?
Well, I think the main thing that we did, and it was a big point, was to make the announcements. And I hope that fans and broadcasters are enjoying the announcements. I think they help bring some transparency and help, especially the fan in the stadium, understand what's happening and what just happened, put it that way. When they've gone to the monitor, the fans in the stadium can't see what they're looking at. So they don't really understand why the referee might come out and cancel a goal or give a penalty kick. So we've been working on that in the off season with the referee's rehearsal. And the one small downside to that is that you may have noticed the referees are staying at the monitor just a little bit longer. And what they're actually doing is they're running through a quick rehearsal of what they're going to say. So just because it's new, and if you can imagine, if you're not a public speaker, all of a sudden you go on a loudspeaker and you're going to say something that half the crowd is going to boo at you or maybe be excited about, etc. So that's why they're staying just a little bit longer to get the number of the players that are involved and make sure that when they come out, they say the right things.
It's a good point. Obviously, referees are well conditioned to doing difficult jobs in high pressure environments in front of a lot of people. But it's one thing to do the job the way they have, to actually referee the game. It's another thing to sort of also take on some PA announcer duties at the same time. So it's reasonable that there would be a few nerves about making sure that all of that is right. And obviously, you don't want to get up and say the wrong thing in front of a crowd because we know what kind of response that could potentially yield if a referee then has to backtrack and change the call. You mentioned that for the fans in the stadium, and I feel like MLS, between those reviews, and this is kind of a little thing, but allowing the clock to continue ticking past 45 or past 90 so that fans can see in the stadium easily when the number of added minutes is approaching. Those two changes, I think, for fans in the stadium have really made a big difference in terms of being able to feel like they're fully understanding what's going on. The only thing that really still isn't possible in the stadium, and you mentioned it, is that you can't necessarily see the replays and see what the referees are looking at. Obviously, at home, you can't see it exactly either, but the TV broadcast does make an effort to show it, and sometimes is able to show you exactly what the referees are looking at. Is there a particular reason, whether it's logistical or for some purposeful reason, that those things aren't shown in the stadium?
Not particularly, but of course there is just a technical reason why we don't do it. It's not that easy to, even the announcements. I mean, I don't know if you watch Copa America. They struggled. They struggled making the announcements. There was a bunch of times where they stood there and you couldn't hear a thing. And we went with our technology people and we planned it. And, so it didn't happen by accident. And so that's the one thing that we had to work out. To put the video up on the screen, I don't know if that's ever going to happen so much. I know on TV, you can actually watch through your monitor. You can see what the referee is looking at. That's a technology that we just never have gone to have a big screen. I don't know how much it would help because the fans would react to what they see and they may not realize it. I mean, the same replays that are available to the broadcast are available to the referee. So we don't have any special cameras or extra cameras that broadcast doesn't have. So they can show that. And I know part of it is the competition rules by MLS about how many times they can show a replay on the screen, because you can imagine that if the fans don't agree, you can incite some actions in the stands, and that would be very positive in many ways, especially if the decision goes against the against the home team. And then, of course, the players on top of that the management of the players can be more difficult. So that's one of the main reasons why it's not shown. And you got to remember, in other parts of the world, they don't show any replays, no matter what it is, on the big screens.
You mentioned potentially accidentally inciting the crowd into a worse situation than would otherwise be necessary. And this is kind of, I don't mean to expand too far beyond your expertise with video review, but obviously you're somebody who's deeply embedded in officiating circles at large, and you have a ton of experience in that regard. So if I could just pick your brain between a couple of high-profile incidents in the Copa America, both after the semifinals with Uruguay players fighting Colombian fans in the stands because those Colombian fans were allegedly attacking their family members, or at least harassing their family members in the stands after the game was over. And then obviously the delay of the Copa America final this past weekend because of the massive crowd control issues. And all the fans, mostly Colombian fans who were in the stadium without tickets, there were arrests and so on and so forth. Obviously, none of those things are the purview of the referees. But if you're a referee and you're seeing those things happen and thinking about future international tournaments and particularly the World Cup being in the United States in a couple of years, what kind of role does the refereeing union have in saying, hey, we need to make changes here because it doesn't feel particularly safe for us if this is the environment in and around these stadiums before, during, and after games?
No, you're absolutely right, because just like, you notice the Uruguayan players, they're worried about their families. You saw the Argentine players before worried about their families. Have they gotten into the stands? Are they in their safe location where they're supposed to be? Hey, the referees have families. A lot of times they're at the games also, and they're concerned about their families and their safety just as much. But how it affects the referee is that the players are affected. And so here you are out there trying to control a match and keep everybody level-headed, but you also have these players who are not focused on the game so much. They're worried about their families, and they're going to react totally different. So it does spill onto the field. And to be honest with the referees as the players, nobody likes a delay of a game.
Yeah.
I mean, you go there and you have your routine, you have your warm up, you do your little whatever, you put your socks on backwards, you comb your hair 5 more times, you do all the little things that superstitious things that every referee has. And then you want to go out and start the game. And then when it gets delayed, it adds pressure. Add to it. So it's not good. I think it's just something that, I mean, I don't know if all the organizers did. I was a part of that part of Copa America, But I think there's a good lesson to be learned for the World Cup when it comes here that, that our security systems and all the parts that go around outside the game have to be in place, in a good place. And then everybody, the referees included, have a way of doing the game with just, concentrate on their jobs. I think that just distracts from the game. It's unfortunate because people go to watch a game and even if they go to watch the referee because you're a referee, not, you still get bothered by the other stuff that's happening outside the game. So I think that'll all get worked out. But it does affect the referees just as much as the players.
Greg Barkey, the VAR guru for MLS. Thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
And if you want to hear any of what you missed from Greg, you can go back and get it on the free Odyssey app. We'll take a break. The news is coming up next. Back in the second hour with more St. Louis City Soccer Report on KMOX.
1-800-GOT-JUNK recycles because it conserves our natural resources.
We donate the donatables so they can be loved and used by another family.
Recycling saves us money. The less we take to the landfill, the more we save.
It also saves you money. Spending less on landfills helps keep our prices low.
People love to see a win-win scenario, but we've created a win-win-win-win scenario.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Join Coalition Life on Tuesday, July 23rd for our Circle Gala, an inspiring evening headlined by our special guest, Kyle Mann, editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee. Hi, I'm Brian Westbrook, Executive Director of Coalition Life. Hear about real lives saved from our work. Meet some of the amazing people who stand up for life on the front lines and discover how you can join us to help ensure that every woman facing an unexpected pregnancy first meets a loving and effective advocate for life. Meet fellow supporters of life from across the region and our special guest, Kyle Mann of the Babylon Bee, on Tuesday, July 23rd at Queenie Park. Register now to secure your spot for a great meal and engaging evening. Sponsorships are available, including a VIP reception with Kyle. Register at coalitionlife.com/gala. That's coalitionlife.com/gala.
Cancer can feel like something we can't do anything about, but you can. There are screening tests that can catch cancer early when it may be easier to treat. Begin cervical screening at age 25. At 45, start colorectal and breast screening. At 50, discuss lung screening with a doctor. Find resources for free and low-cost screening at cancer.org/getscreened. This is a public service message from the American Cancer Society.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. With former President Donald Trump in attendance for a second night, former Trump challenger Nikki Haley tells those at the Republican National Convention,
I'll start by making one thing perfectly clear. Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
Reporter Doug Sovern is at the convention.
The kinder, gentler tone of opening night seems to be giving way to a little more vitriol, with West Virginia Governor Jim Justice warning the delegates the country will become totally unhinged if Donald Trump isn't elected in November. The gloves appear to be coming off finger by finger.
As investigators try to determine the motive for the assassination attempt on former President Trump, CBS's Charlie DeMar has the latest on what transpired Saturday.
Cell phone video taken Saturday evening shows rally attendees pointing towards Thomas Matthew Crooks and trying to alert police to his presence 2 full minutes before he fired at the former president.
Right here, right on the roof.
Less than 15 seconds before the shots, people are seen running away from the area. Then, just moments later, some in the crowd begin shouting that the man on the roof has a gun.
He's got a gun!
U.S. intelligence officials say they detected an Iranian plot against former President Donald Trump and shared it before the shooting at the rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday. There is no information suggesting that the threat is connected to the attempted assassination. CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd.
This reported threat from Iran against Mr. Trump is just the latest in an ongoing set of threats to Mr. Trump and Trump administration officials in light of the assassination of Qasem Soleimani and their larger policy against Iran.
President Biden is making the rounds in a series of interviews showing that he still has what it takes to be commander-in-chief. He sat down with BET News and Ed Gordon for an interview set to air tomorrow night.
The only thing, age brings a little bit of wisdom. And I think I've demonstrated that I know how to get things done for the country.
One person is dead in Indiana and hundreds of thousands of Illinois customers lost power after as many as 10 suspected tornadoes tore through Chicago and other parts of the Midwest last night. This woman was relieved when it moved on.
Nobody got hurt. This will be something we can talk about all summer long now.
The Israeli military will start sending draft notices to Jewish ultra-Orthodox men on Sunday. The step could destabilize Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. Hundreds of men protested after the announcement. The U.S. hits Mexican accountants and firms with sanctions for timeshare scams that support a drug cartel. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 9:03, we have clouds, 76 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Maria Aquina. Our top story this hour, today's torrential rain claiming 2 lives. An elderly Alton couple died in the flash flooding. The Jersey County Sheriff says it happened between Bell Trees and Fessler Roads. The Riverbender is reporting the woman's body was found inside a submerged car, but the man's body was found about a quarter mile away from Piasaw Creek. A man that reported the incident to police had to be rescued himself from the top of his vehicle when emergency crews arrived from several different agencies. Meanwhile, businesses were flooded as a reservoir overflowed in Nashville, Illinois.
I spoke with Dulce King, who works at Zapp's AC Towing, which was located right next to where the reservoir flooded over the roadway and into their office.
But the office was at least 3 feet. I know it was over my desk. There's a fridge on its back side in there.
As you say, it looks like a lot of stuff has been thrown about. Was the water like flowing like there was a river inside the office?
Yes. And it didn't take long for it to come in once I was told it was coming.
She says once the secondary dam gave way, as it's designed to do, it didn't take long for the road to be completely flooded, pushing around some of the cars that they have in their lot as well. That's how strong the river was flowing. In Nashville, Illinois, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The whistleblower who once worked at Children's Pediatric Care Clinic, Jamie Reed, says the facility is closing. KMOX reached out to Washington University for confirmation and was provided with the following statement. Quote, the scope of care provided at the center changed last year after Missouri passed a new law on the subject. Since then, we have continued to support our transgender patients appropriately and in accordance with the law. We have no plans to change that approach, unquote. When asked if that means the pediatric care center is closed or closing for good, we have yet to receive a reply. Meanwhile, AG Andrew Bailey releasing a statement on the alleged closure of the Children's Pediatric Care Clinic, saying that this is a huge win for the rule of law and for the safety of our children. And as a father of 4 and as Attorney General, I want Missouri to be the safest state in the nation for children. The closure of a clinic who has mutilated children is a major step towards that goal. I will not stop until the clandestine network of clinics mutilating children is permanently dismantled and bad actors are held accountable, unquote. Visitation will be tomorrow for the Afton fire captain who passed away suddenly last week at the age of 54. Jim Coble was found unresponsive at the Afton firehouse after going on several emergency calls. Visitation is from 3 to 8 at Cudis Funeral Home on Gravois. The funeral will be Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. Our forecast for tonight, we could see some spot storms lingering. 72 for the low. Tomorrow, partly sunny. Still pretty humid with some spot thundershowers. A high of 85 degrees. But then tomorrow night, the humidity drops off. The skies will clear, and it'll be 63 degrees. Thursday, it'll be sunny and a nice afternoon. Afternoon highs right around 80 degrees. Right now, 72 in St. Peter's. It's 76 in Florissant, and downtown of the Arch, it's 76. I'm Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Y98 presents the St. Louis City Soccer Report on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Hour 2 of the St. Louis City Soccer Report. Nate Gatter back with you. Jen Cease is away in Seattle with St. Louis City getting ready to take on the Sounders tomorrow night. City, not Jen, that is. But Jen will be doing the pregame on our sister station, Y98, at 9 o'clock Central tomorrow evening. Joey and Dale will have the call for you at 9:30 when City and Seattle do battle. Now we are talking with an interesting guest, somebody that probably that a lot of people don't know. But something that we try to do on this show is shine a light on the local youth game when we can. And Chad Otek is somebody that we want to shine a light on, and his entire team, the Lou Fuse 2008 Girls Academy team. Chad is the head coach, and they just won the Under-16 Girls Academy National Championship in Richmond. The second year in a row that Lou Fuse has won that national championship. The 07 team won it last year. Chad, congratulations, and thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I appreciate it.
Obviously, the youth soccer game at the club level can be a little bit confusing for people who either weren't in it themselves or don't have kids in it. So let's just first establish that Girls Academy is at the top level for any girls playing at the club level anywhere in the U.S., right?
Correct. The way I try to explain it to people is there are two national platforms, the Girls Academy League, which we participate in the ECNL, and then there are regional leagues. So the Girls Academy League and the ECNL are the only two national platforms in the country.
With this team in particular, just how much talent are we talking about that it takes to compete at this level? For, to put it in sort of, and I don't, I'm not asking you to name names or imagine exactly where the cut line is, but when you're watching a game at, whether it's your team or others, at the Girls Academy, the final, the semifinals, that sort of extreme high end of the spectrum, just how many, say, Division I college players are out there on the field at a time?
Yeah, that's a good question. To put it into perspective, my U19 group, we lost in the national championship in California a couple weeks prior. They do the entire U19 and U13 event at one location to beat college preseasons. That group has 24 college commits on it. The group I brought to compete in nationals had 17 Division I commits and one Division II commit, and we lost in the championship. For this 08 group in particular that just won, the vast majority of these girls will end up at Power 4 conference schools. They're in the middle of their recruiting process and are gearing up to take their official visit starting in August.
Speaking of those high-profile prospects, we would be remiss if we did not mention that one of them is Maren Gansner, the daughter of our own Jen Cease, who we hear on these airwaves time and again, and who you can hear on Y98 on the City game tomorrow evening. Chad, we talk about it with youth coaches all the time. And one of the things I'm fascinated by is the sort of responsibility that folks like you carry on your shoulders, because on the one hand, you have a responsibility to your players, to yourself, and to Lou Fuse to do what's best for the team to try to win games, right? The goal is to win games in one sense, and certainly you want your players to learn what it takes to win and how to win. On the other hand, nobody sets out in their soccer career and says my ultimate goal is to win an under 16 national championship in the girls academy, right? They want to go on and play Division I college soccer. They want to try to play professionally, what have you. All these girls have major ambitions. How do you balance the individual development and the team development for the long term against the desire to win, bearing in mind that sometimes those things are going to align and sometimes maybe they don't?
Yeah, there's a couple ways to answer that question. First of all, the easiest way to develop a team in the youth game is to develop every individual on it, right? So individual development is very, very important. We're not dealing with professional soccer players, so a lot of these girls are far away from their ceiling and what they're capable of as individuals, right? And I try to be very clear with that messaging to all the players that you're going to make a million mistakes. It's okay that you make mistakes. We're here to try to improve you as rapidly as we can. In terms of the individual goals of each player versus winning a national championship, this isn't a results-based business. It is a development-based business. So I get asked often why I haven't entertained the idea of going to coach at the college game. I really enjoy the development of these young people, right? Both as people and as athletes. So that being said, I try to be transparent in my communication that there are a couple games every year that we are playing to win. And in those games, I'll reference the semifinal game that we won this past weekend. We won 1-0. It was sideways rain. It wasn't the prettiest of soccer, right? But we kept a clean sheet, and we ultimately did what we had to do to get to a final. And now we've won a national championship. But that's usually 2 to 5 games a season where we say, hey, this is where we're really focused on winning over development. The rest of the season, every training session, every conference game, most of our playoff and Champions Cup group stage games, we're still focused on development over winning.
To what degree the way, and I say this as someone who's not especially familiar with, how the season, how the year is set up and what other options might be available. So this is a totally open-ended question in that regard. Obviously, especially on the girls' side, club soccer of that caliber is really an all-encompassing endeavor in the sense that it's going to be going on for large stretches of the year. I don't know the exact dates, but it's going to be going on a lot. These kids are not playing high school soccer. To what degree do you think that the way we have things set up now is the best way to develop players? And if there's anything you would change, what would you change?
When you say the way we have things set up, who are you?
Meaning like the way about? Girls Academy and the ECNL and sort of the top level clubs run things in sort of how the year is set up, how much soccer these girls are playing, that sort of thing. Yeah,
I mean, the girls are playing a ton of soccer, which isn't a bad thing unless you have clubs that aren't monitoring the workload of their players, right? So some of our girls do play high school, some of our girls don't. But regardless of with our U13s, U14s, we have planned that do play all year round. We have planned stoppages and planned breaks in our periodization to make sure that we don't develop overuse injuries. Same goes for the high school age kids. We don't go as intense through the winter. We really pick and choose when are we working on pressing activities versus when are we doing a training session in transition. Those typically require a lot of sprinting, right? And then, or are we doing a film session or a tactical session, which are a little bit easier on the body? So that's kind of the club answer. In terms of what the ECNL and the GA can do on a national level, I would say more so what took place last week. I think it does everyone a favor, mainly the kids, which is ultimately what this is about, when you have both national final events within 30 minutes of each other. Right, that allows the colleges to, it stretches their budgets a bit further. All the college coaches I spoke to this past weekend were so thrilled that they could hop in the car. Some of them drove to and from each complex 3 or 4 times in the same day to watch all the kids that they watch, versus I feel like at times these two platforms are going, blow for blow,
right,
trying to do things opposite sides of the country, and that's not good for the kids. To really get in depth with the answer, I think there could be some type of event where the top clubs in each platform play against each other. And I do think U.S. Soccer has an influence on, or should have a bigger influence on, who plays where and who plays against who, because ultimately, that's kind of the end game for a lot of these top tier players. Is when I talk to our U13s and U14s during their IDP process, which is their individual development plan, you'd be amazed at how many of them say, I want to play on the U.S. women's national team.
Yeah.
Right. So U.S. Soccer has a big influence on a lot of these decisions that are made in the youth game.
Chad, we so appreciate your expertise. I realize you might not have expected to be asked for, such wide-ranging answers. Since the reason that you're really here is because of that national championship win, I do want to give you a chance to sort of zero in on that and spotlight that a little bit. When you look back on the year that you've had working with those girls, what are you most proud of in that team's work that ultimately led to the national championship?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was my first year with the group as a head coach. I coached a lot of them last spring, and they're obviously very gifted. Right, I've told them that I think they're widely perceived as the best team in our program, which is a very gifted program, and they're widely perceived as the best team in St. Louis in their age group. Through I've heard that through many college coaches. So there was a lot of pressure coming in, both on the players and the staff. What I'm most proud of about is they got a really humbling experience at the beginning of June, where we brought in another girls academy club from Chicago, Galaxy. They were ranked 1 in the country. We were ranked 2 in the country. And we played them in a friendly to prep for playoffs. On our home turf, we had about 30 college coaches came to watch the game. So we used it as a showcase event, and they beat up on us on our home field, traveled in from Chicago. And our girls were like, oh, we're going to beat them at the beginning of the game. And we conceded 3 goals in a 4-minute spell, and we lost the game 3-1.
Wow.
And to be fair, I ripped into the girls and told them they had played in front of 400 or 500 colleges in the last 6 weeks leading up to this game. And there was just a bit of arrogance about the group, both individually and collectively. And so I sat them down after that game, and it was a really tough conversation. And I was like, this doesn't change, then we won't accomplish ultimately what we set our goal to be. The response for 15 and 16-year-old girls that I got from that post-game talk through lifting that trophy was one of the most mature things that I've seen from a group of young ladies. So I would say that's got to be what I'm most proud of, was their response to being humbled in front of a lot of big-time college programs on their home turf in a friendly.
The last thing for you, Chad, and then I promise we'll let you go. I imagine we don't have a lot of, 8 and under girls out there listening to the show at the moment, but we probably do have a few parents to young girls or future parents to young girls. And I assume the advice would apply to young boys as well. If you have a kid or are going to have a young kid and you want to give them every opportunity to excel in soccer, what can parents be doing? What can those young kids be doing to best position themselves to get a spot at a really successful club like yours, and put those kids in the very best position to succeed into their teenage years and beyond?
Yeah. At those young ages, it has to be about, it's going to sound cliche, but the kids have to love the game.
Yeah.
I would say in America, the difference is kids don't play it enough on their own, and kids don't watch it enough. And when you talk about the youngsters, if they don't enjoy it and they don't want to go back into the car to go back, then they'll never be at the level to, make an academy team. So that's got to be first and foremost, is be in an environment at U8, U9, 10, 11, 12 that the kids enjoy, so that they're the first one in the car on the way to soccer practice, and they have a smile on the way back, and that they enjoy it, and they want to get the ball out and kick it off of the wall in the basement to where the parents are getting annoyed with them. That's got to be most important for the younger ages, for sure.
Well, Chad, we appreciate your time so much. Congratulations again on the national championship, and we're looking forward to what's to come from you and from your very talented young ladies.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Chad Oczek, the head coach of the 08 Girls Academy Lou Fuse team, won the Girls Academy National Championship in Richmond. And a special congratulations. Not only, of course, we congratulate all the young ladies, but a special congratulations again to Maureen Ganser, who is the daughter of not only Jen Cease, co-host of this show, but also George Ganser, who you hear all the time on Laws of the Game, a nearly weekly contributor. Congratulations to them and the entire 08 Lou Fuse Girls Academy team. We'll take a break, and when we get back, told you I was going to share some thoughts about the St. Louis Post-Dispatch article on City play-by-play voice Joey Zanaboni, who you hear on these airways from time to time and calling every City game on our sister station, Y98. I'll have those when we get back. St. Louis City Soccer Report on KMOX.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special, only $49.99. Seminars Wednesday, August 14th at the 4 Points by Sheraton, St. Louis, Fairview Heights, in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m.
We all have different ideas of the perfect retirement, but they all depend on the same thing, not running out of money. Steve All and the team at the All Financial Group can help you develop a retirement income stream that fits your idea of the perfect retirement. Call 636-230-8824 or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Here we are in July. Are you using your outdoor space? If you're not, there's probably a good reason. You didn't call Chesterfield Fence and Deck to really trick out your outdoor space. Imagine having a beautiful deck with a custom screen room that keeps the bugs away, or a custom sunroom that it can even maybe be air conditioned, have a beautiful fan so you're outside but not fully in the elements. Or you can walk down those deck steps onto your beautiful patio that's covered by a pergola, maybe a built-in, pizza oven, barbecue grill, you name it. Let your imagination run wild and work with Chesterfield Fence and Deck to make it a reality. They'll come to you with free in-home estimates, free project design, or stop by and see them in the Chesterfield Valley to get a great idea of what the products look and feel like, or maybe get some great ideas. Chesterfield Fence and Deck will offer you 48 months interest-free financing if you mention me, Debbie Monterey. Find them online right now at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Power, printers, fasteners, splicers, parts, labels, stick it, cables, run it, cracks, seal it, darkness, light it, parts, wires, twisted cable, brace it, outlet, grounded, switches, got it, all the fasteners, products, boxes, you need raceway and more splicers.
All the electrical parts, all in one place. Graybar.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitch man that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney, you need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
St. Louis City Soccer Report continues. We want to thank all of our guests. We've had Tom Timberman taking Dale Schilly's slot tonight. Greg Barkey stepped in for the Laws of the Game spot where George Gainzer would normally be. And then Chad Otek, who is the head coach of the 08 Girls Academy team that just won the national championship for Lou Fuse. All of them with us here at the St. Louis City Soccer Report. I think all have been a real joy to talk to. If you missed any of those interviews, you can go back and hear them, as always, on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. And if you want to get your thoughts in on the air, we welcome your calls. 314-436-7900 is the number to call. Once again, that's 314-436-7900 is the number to join us on the air. I do want to talk briefly about a St. Louis Post-Dispatch article written by Post media critic Dan Caesar, published 4 or 5 days ago now, about Joey Zanaboni, who you hear on KMOX from time to time on any number of shows, including he's been on this one. He's a frequent contributor to Chris and Amy during the middays. And, of course, you hear him on every City game on our sister station, Y98, including tomorrow night. Kickoff now almost exactly 24 hours away, 9:30 Central tomorrow evening when City visit Seattle. Joey got, unfortunately, involved in something that I think he had really nothing to do with. He has on his Twitter page, and he has for a while, a link to a GoFundMe that he set up with donations benefiting the V Foundation, Jim Valvano, the ESPN Jim Valvano's Foundation for Cancer Research, in honor of Dick Vitale, a fellow Italian-American who he looks up to as a broadcasting idol. And he's had it up there for some time, months certainly, and maybe years. Up there, going back to one of Dick Vitale's prior battles with cancer. He's now facing his fourth, and certainly we wish Dick the very best. Unfortunately, Dick Vitale had somebody who had set up a fake GoFundMe in the name of his medical expenses for this upcoming bout with cancer. And understandably, Vitale was very upset by that and publicly on social media disavowed it. And was frustrated and upset with the scam going on. And you can totally understand that emotion. And then in the course of that discussion, somebody came across Joey's GoFundMe and tweeted a picture of it or something, or a link to it, to Dick Vitale, who said, no, this one's, not associated with me either. I hate these scams, blah, blah, blah. And it made it seem as though Joey's was a scam. And it's understandable why Vitale would have thought that. He is obviously not somebody who necessarily grew up in the digital age. You can understand why a guy in his 80s might have been frustrated about those things and seen another fundraiser that he knew hadn't been started by him or any of his people and assumed that meant the organizer, in this case, Joey, was getting that money without really understanding how GoFundMe works or going to the page himself and checking it out. The posts have since been deleted because the miscommunication was cleared up. If you go to the GoFundMe page that Joey has on a link to his Twitter, you can see clear as day that the verified V Foundation page is the beneficiary. Joey's not getting any of the money, even as a middleman. It's all going straight to the V Foundation. Joey himself has donated hundreds and hundreds of dollars to the fundraiser. So there is absolutely nothing remotely wrong with it. Everything is completely above board. It's very clear. You can see it all right there in front of you. And still, the Post-Dispatch wrote this article, which, to be fair, does say it's, quote, cleared up and was a big misunderstanding. But the article is presented sort of as, here's what Vitale said at the time, and then here's what Zanaboni has said since, and sort of you decide. Frankly, there shouldn't have been an article in the first place. It's really unfair to Joey that is what was an obvious misunderstanding where he was never remotely in the wrong. And although again, Dick Vitale didn't do it with any malintent, nor did the person sending the information to Vitale on Twitter. All of this was just a mistake that played out publicly because it happened on social media, and Joey got, unfortunately, totally unbeknownst to him, wrapped up in it. And that is all understandable because it happens sort of extemporaneously, and people have miscommunications and they make mistakes, and that was seen on Twitter. But all those posts have been deleted. It should have been gone and done with. And yet, with the benefit of multiple days to think about it, digest what had happened, and understand that this was an obvious miscommunication where Joey had done nothing wrong and, in fact, was getting caught up in something for trying to do a good deed that he is still trying to do, the Post-Dispatch decided it was appropriate to write an article that was at least capitalizing on, if not attempting to somehow continue casually stirring some sort of controversy that might have existed, when they know for a fact, and they could have easily verified, that there was nothing remotely wrong with what Joey had done. And in fact, it should be commended that he's trying to raise money and is donating significant amounts of his personal money to the V Foundation, which does great work that we all support, though many of us not as strongly as Joey does. So I think what I'm saying here is I think it's wrong for the leading newspaper in St. Louis to publish an article about someone who is now relatively high profile in this city that makes any implication or even brings up his name when they know for a fact that nothing remotely wrong happened. I think there's an obligation to do better journalism than that, and to have essentially done the fact checking yourself, seen what the facts were, and realized that it was only unfair to Joey to publish any story that was in any way implying that anything he might have done was anything but above board. So hopefully this can be a lesson going forward. Hopefully for any of you who might have seen it, you can hear this and know that it was an absolute load of crap, and that Joey has done and will do nothing wrong in that relation, and deserves nothing but praise for the work that he's done with that V Foundation fundraiser. And it's a lesson to be discerning in the sorts of things that you consume, and hopefully it's a lesson for the Post-Dispatch going forward to take a more active role in the journalism than they do, rather than just aggregating some tweets, getting a few comments, and slapping them up there as though they're two equal sides of the same story, and who knows what the real answer is. Take an active role, figure out what the real answer is, and when you realize it's something innocuous that nobody deserves criticism for or controversy for or blowback for, just put it in your back pocket and move on with your day. Find something else to write about. Hopefully this can be the end of it. I hesitated almost to bring it up because I don't want to extend it and make this more of a thing, but I felt it was necessary to be very clear, first of all, that not only had Joey not done anything wrong, he had done a lot of things right, but that also the way he was treated in that article, not that it went out of its way to say anything bad about him, but the fact that the article even existed, I thought was wrong. And I hope and I trust, because St. Louis City obviously understand what has happened and that he did absolutely nothing wrong. I trust and that there will be nothing more to come of it, and that things will continue to go fantastically well for him in what has been, for the most part, it seems a love affair between him and this fan base who have really embraced him and his unique way of calling a game. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll hear from City Chief Experience Officer Matt Seebeck, who chatted with Jen Cease about a number of city topics. That's next on KMOX.
That matter to me.
Weather.
If it's going to rain, I want to know.
Traffic.
Well, nobody wants to be late for work.
And who brings you that information every morning?
This is Tom Ackerman.
I'm Megan Lynch. Hi, I'm Debbie Monterey.
I'm Roger Brand. It's Total Information AM with everything you need to know.
What's going on in the world?
Weather reports are so important to start the day.
Tell me where the traffic is so I can get to work on time.
Total Information AM. Mornings on KMOX.
Find out what's happening.
And always live on the free Odyssey app.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
It's Tom Ackerman. I've been talking about it for years because we've been enjoying it for years, and that is Innsbruck. Innsbruck Resort, Innsbruck-resort.com. What a place. And the home values have increased 105% in the last 5 years, so it's a great return on investment. The new Sonnenhaus houses are available this year. The modern exterior of a treehouse with cozy interior elements of a cottage. Innsbruck-resort.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Help if you want to sell your home as is. Help doesn't matter the condition it's in. Help if you want to assemble, sell with no agency fees. Claiming groups got you covered, no contingency. House a mess, roof damage, bad taxes, that's all okay. Make sure you remember to call Claiming Real Estate.
Let us help you. ClaimingGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com.
It's the Cardinal Cowboy. If it's time to replace that broken down, rickety old garage door, Renner does that. Looking for top-notch garage door installation and repairs? Renner does that. Smart LiftMaster openers? Renner does that. Serving Greater St. Louis and surrounding areas since 1966. Renner does that. Residential and commercial, you guessed it. Renner does that. RENNER forward and back. RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, the garage door company that does. Giddy up!
Broadcasting from the Onder Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
The St. Louis Cardinals are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. Following the All-Star break, they continue their push for the playoffs as they take on the Braves Friday night. Hear it here and every Redbirds game on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals, KMOX.
More St. Louis City Soccer Report on this Tuesday evening. We're into our final 20 minutes of the show tonight. Nate Gatter with you. No Jen Cease this week, but she'll be back next Thursday night for the next KMOX Soccer Showcase presented by Michelob Ultra. We've had a couple of them already at Hot Shots around the St. Louis metro area that have been very well received. And if you're one of those folks, and I know there have been a few, who have been eagerly awaiting or requesting or even demanding that one of our Hot Shot shows comes to the Illinois side. It's coming next week, Thursday, July the 25th. Akil Watts, St. Louis City midfielder and defender, will be with Jen at Hot Shots in O'Fallon, Illinois from 6 to 8. for the KMOX Soccer Showcase presented by Michelob Ultra. You'll hear a lot more about it in the next 9 games. You can go to hotshots.net/KMOX Soccer Showcase presented by Michelob Ultra. You can go to KMOX.com for more information. Check out the social media channels. And, of course, to listen to here on KMOX. One more time, that's next Thursday, the 25th, Akil Watts at Hot Shots, O'Fallon, Illinois, from 6 to 8. A chance to meet and get some photos and some autographs and all of that good stuff, as well as the great food and drink that Hot Shots has available for you. Speaking of other things on the agenda for City fans, let's hear from City Chief Experience Officer Matt Seebeck.
Joined now by Matt Seebeck, Chief Experience Officer, St. Louis City SC. Matt, talking about Leagues Cup, I just felt like it was months ago, and now it's a week away.
The season is just fast and furious. It's a long season, but I think, the Leagues Cup thing, this is the second year it's been going, and this is our second year in the league. So I think our fan base is still learning a bit about what this tournament is. These midseason tournaments are not a construct that baseball has or hockey has. So basically what it is our Major League Soccer season will stop for about a month and a half, and we all compete in the Leagues Cup. So it's Major League Soccer teams against the equivalent of Mexico Liga MX. So 47 teams total competing for really the North American Championship. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty exciting. And that kicks off on Saturday, July 27th here.
Talking with Diego Gigliani at one of the halftimes a few weeks ago, and we're just talking about how interesting Leagues Cup can be for a fan, because really, in the first game, FC Dallas is the opponent. You're getting an MLS team. It's like an MLS match. And then the second game, you get exposed to the international game with FC Juarez. You get kind of both in one at a reasonable price and the experience that is City Park.
Yeah, it's a tournament. So even though we're playing FC Dallas, like every game has consequence.
Yeah, and we want retribution for the last result.
We do. And I think, we've got 3 new players coming in, 3 exciting players. So, for us, Leagues Cup is a bit of a blank slate, and making a deep run in the Leagues Cup could be a defining moment for this season in year 2 here. So we're really excited. Last year we played Club America, the biggest club in Liga MX in Mexico, and it brings a different environment, a bit, culture clash at City Park, which is really, really fun to see some of these other passionate fan bases that aren't here domestically. So it's really fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking too, whether you're a current fan and you can come to City Park on a regular basis, but especially for fans that maybe don't have the ability to do that, what a great way to have the true experience that you would get in any MLS match, right?
Yeah. And, as I said, because I think a lot of our fans are still learning about these mid-season tournaments, these games are not yet sold out, which all of our other games are. So the feedback that we get out and about is, I'd love to go to City Park, but I can't get a ticket. Now's your chance. Like Leagues Cup here in the summer here, we've got 2 games at home here, July 27th and August 4th. That is an opportunity. The tickets are a bit cheaper than the Major League Soccer ones. There are inventory available. So if you haven't checked out City Park yet, now's the time.
And you mentioned the new players. Cedric Toyhert has been training already with the team. Jake Girdwood-Reich was also doing a little bit of running on his own recently. Marcel Hartl is soon to come if he's not here already. What a great experience. You could really be first to see these new international players for St. Louis City play.
Yeah, the timing aligns really well where, these probably will be the first games that these players are in. But, a bit analogous is like last summer, Lionel Messi arrived here domestically, and the Leagues Cup were the first games he competed in. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to in these games. We're going to switch up the experience a little bit at City Park and add some elements to it that's really fun. The Mizzou Marching Band will be joining us. We're also going to do something a bit different in the plaza area for pregame, where the players will actually be dropped off in the plaza, create a bit of a processional into the stadium. So it's a really fun way, again, for kids, families, fans that haven't partaken in the City Park experience to really get up close and personal.
Always on match day, there's always party on the plaza. There are things always going on. So it sounds like there's going to be some new experiences there too. What time do festivities start? How does everybody get involved?
The party in the plaza usually starts around 4 or 5 o'clock. There's always, good food, good local music. So about the same time. So our first game's on July 27th, Saturday night. So it's still, the player drop off, the Mizzou Marching Band. We're just looking for it to be more of a festival. If you haven't gone to the City Park experience yet, this is a great opportunity, and you can find all that information on our website, stlcitysc.com.
That's Matt Seebeck, Chief Experience Officer for St. Louis City, with our own Jen C. So even away in Seattle, as she is at the moment preparing for City's game tomorrow night against the Sounders, still finds a way to contribute to the show, doesn't she ever? all of those ways to be part of what's still to come for City over the next few months as their season wraps up. And who knows, maybe John Hackworth and company, especially with the additions of Cedric Toyert, Marcel Hartl, and the returns of Joao Klaus and Rasmus Al, maybe this group can still find a way to get themselves back into the hunt. But as you heard from Tom Timmerman back at the very beginning of the show, the road is an arduous one from here, to say the least. For City to get to 44 points, which is what was required to get into the playoffs last year, they would need 22 points from their remaining 11 regular season games in MLS. That's 2 points per game. Not a single team in the Western Conference is at 2 points per game this year, though LAFC just 1 point off a 2 point per game pace. We'll take a break, wrap up when we return. If you've got any final thoughts on City about the 4-1 loss to Vancouver last Saturday, or looking ahead to the matchup against Seattle tomorrow night, or even Kansas City on the road in Kansas coming up on Saturday, any of that is fair game. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. The Soccer Report continues on KMOX.
IRS, they tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
What do Donna Vogt, Janet Williams, Susan Honor, and Jonathan Erst have in common? They're just some of the best fans in baseball and winners of a pair of tickets to an upcoming game and $100 to Rawlings. Want to get in on the winning? To get entered, head to KMOX.com/contest and upload a photo of you decked out in your game day attire. The best fans in baseball, presented by KMOX and Rawlings, the mark of a pro.
When it comes to retirement, you don't need to worry or sweat the small stuff if you have Sachs Financial on your side. Sachs Financial, home of the Retirement Compensation Plan. SACHS, Sachs Financial, because income is the outcome that matters. RetireSafeSTL.com.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts this weekend. For 3 days only, this Friday through Sunday. Get 20% off rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale too. 20% off starts Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com. 3 days only and Sunday.
When a parent struggles with addiction or dies from a drug overdose, what happens to their children? Far too many end up in foster care, unable to ever return to their birth homes because it's simply not safe. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is fighting the clock so that teens don't age out of foster care, leaving them at a higher risk of addiction and other negative outcomes that can happen to a child without the love and stability of a permanent family. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Do you limp out of bed with a sharp pain in your heel? Maybe it feels better when you start walking, but then bam, feels crippling when you get up from sitting again? That could be plantar fasciitis. This is Debbie Monterey. Take my advice and seek out the doctors at Feet for Life Podiatry for their decades of expertise with heel pain. Their advanced non-invasive procedures offer quick recovery times so you can enjoy your summer pain-free. Visit feetforlife.com for an appointment or ask for a virtual visit if you're out of state. Feetforlife.com.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon.
Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. And with the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Now through September 15th, purchase high-quality GAF with Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $1,500. Go to BECN.com or download the Beacon Pro Plus app today. Beacon, always building.
Prepare an emergency kit, sign up for local alerts, and make a family communications plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. A public service message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
And paid for by AG Marketing Group. Attention timeshare owners. If you need to get rid of your timeshare for any reason, please listen to the following message. Getting out of a timeshare commitment is not easy, and it takes time. But we specialize in helping consumers legally get rid of their expensive timeshares forever. Can't get the vacation dates that work for you? Maybe you felt taken advantage of or forced into the timeshare? Maybe you just can't continue to shoulder those monthly payments any longer. If you need to eliminate your timeshare commitment, then you need to take down this number, 800-866-7061. We will safely and legally get rid of your timeshare payments forever, all with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't continue to let your timeshare be a financial burden to you and your loved ones. Call us now at 800-866-7061. The call is free. The consultation is free. Call 800-866-7061. That's 800-866-7061. Again, 800-866-7061.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
5 minutes to go on the St. Louis City Soccer Report. A solo effort tonight with Jen Cease away with St. Louis City in Seattle. One more reminder, you can hear her for the pregame at 9 Central tomorrow night on our sister station, Y98. Joey Zanaboni and Dale Schilly will have the call coming up at 9:30 local time when City take on Seattle. Then they'll be back at it Saturday night at Sporting Kansas City for the Darbecue. Is that what we settled on? I-70 rivalry, whatever people like. Which will have a sort of an interesting flavor. I'm actually really looking forward to that game. There hasn't been a lot to look forward to with this City season. You know, it kind of feels like the Cardinals in August and September last year, where it was like, can the season just be over? Right? Like, there's nothing is fun about this. I'm not saying I'm wishing for the City season to be over necessarily, but there certainly has not been anticipation and excitement about the next game the way there was at this point last year, or the way there was early on this season. I am still excited about that Kansas City game, and I'll tell you why. Not necessarily because I think it's going to be a great game, not necessarily because I think City will win, and not even because it's likely to be the debut of at least Cedric Toyert, but because I think it will be interesting to see and sort of take stock of that, where that rivalry is, because we've seen all different faces on the St. Louis Kansas City rivalry so far in MLS, and they played 5 times last year. So we get to see a lot of faces last year already. And most of those were City riding high on this incredible first season and Sporting Kansas City just working themselves into the worst possible situation you could early on in the season, right? We were a month into last season. They had more red cards than goals. They were stuck way down at the bottom of the Western Conference. There was talk about Peter Vermees, who is an institution with Sporting KC, being fired. And that still could happen at some point. Because they're down in 12th and well out of the playoff picture as it stands as well. They're a point ahead of City, but they played one more game. So not really in any better position. So that was the dynamic early in the season. Then late on, it was Kansas City having gotten really hot, played some of the best soccer in the league down the stretch, while City kind of were mediocre in the second half of the season. And that's exactly what we saw play out, sort of a hot team and a not so hot team in the 2 playoff wins for Kansas City last year, including that drubbing in the playoff opener at City Park. And ultimately, City never got back to downtown West last season. Now it's something very different, which is you don't have the stakes of the playoffs. You don't have either team riding high. And in some ways, I think it pits even more emotions on that game. You know, it's sort of like one of the things people will say they love about college football is that if you go, even if 2 teams are having lousy seasons, if you go to a rivalry game late on in the year between a couple of teams that are 3-6, everybody's still fired up about it, because ultimately the things that matter are having great seasons and beating that team, right? And I think this will be not a measure of the rivalry, because we know it's a good rivalry already, but it'll be an intriguing and interesting new showcase for that rivalry, and that we get to see what it means to both fan bases, even if it's devoid of much other intrigue. So in some ways, if you think of it as different variables, you're isolating the rivalry variable because you're stripping away the standings intrigue and the general jeopardy associated with the game. The rest of the context around it will be rather milquetoast, right? There's not a whole lot in it. If you're seeing, and who knows where exactly they'll be. Well, not who knows. Only so much can change. There is a game for City, obviously, coming up tomorrow night. So things can change a little bit. But either way, you're going to see two teams that are well outside the playoff picture and have a ton of work to do just to get themselves back in the conversation. KC will play Vancouver tomorrow night. So both teams will be in action before they meet up on Saturday. Either way, you're going to see a game that has very little meaningful context to it other than rivalry. And that's kind of fun in its own way. And it will be interesting to see how much juice there is to the game solely because of the rivalry, because of the dislike that exists between the fan bases. And I think it's safe to say the dislike that quickly came to the surface between the players last season as well, especially now bearing in mind that bad taste in their mouth. It's accompanied by a lot of other bad tastes from how this season has gone, but you have to imagine the bad taste from last year's playoffs still very much in the City mouths, as it were, going into that matchup. Seattle tomorrow night, Kansas City on Saturday, as City try to get something going and develop any sort of positivity going into the Leagues Cup break. They've only won 4 games this entire season, and they're going to need to win. In fact, they haven't won a single game away from home this year, so they're looking for their first road win of the year. We appreciate our guests. We heard from Matt Seebeck, Chad Otek, Tom Timmerman, and everybody else here this evening. For James O'Sullivan, Nate Gatter saying so long on KMOX.
Scott, I have a new word, floornancing.
What are you saying, flooring or financing?
Actually, both, because at Best Buy Flooring, we have the largest selection of carpet tile, luxury vinyl plank, luxury vinyl tile, ceramic tile, laminate, and hardwood.
Yes, and free financing for qualified buyers.
3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and